I think one of the big things that has really shaped me has the lack of goalie coaching for sure, which is some people see that as a major downside, and I would agree on most points, but I think in some areas it's shaped me well in my game because developed my own kind of way of play, my own style. I think honestly, just trying to take in as much as I can from people who know what they're talking about, and just really just being like a sponge, just trying to absorb everything.
I think this season I've definitely been working on just like my mental part of the game. I think I've developed the like physical part quite well, just stuff like that. But yeah, I think the like mental part, just like staying focused. Like you hear people say, like goalie's the loneliest position, and I mean, I personally don't really get lonely out there, but you're away from everyone all the time. Like even in the room, like you have your own designated spot. You're always away from the rest of the team. Warm ups, you're kind of in your own like space. They're all doing their like explosive training. You're kind of just stretching, getting dialed for the game, and just like really focusing on what you need to do as a player. I think you can definitely get through a game with hard work. I think as a goalie, that just doesn't quite cut it. Just hard work alone. You have to be pretty mentally stable and like level headed. Basically, just forgetting it. Like, just forget about it and focus on the next play. I even shrink that down to a smaller level, and just as I'm playing, it's like this next shot. No matter what, as soon as that puck like comes off of me or I cover it or it goes out of the zone, I'm just instantly thinking about like just stop the next shot, stop the next play, kind of forget about the goals. Just if they put one past, you have all the time in the world after the game to think about what you've done. You can go over video, whatever helps you personally. But I think during the game, it's really beneficial just to stay focused and think about the next one, because at the end of the day, you can't go back and take out that goal. It's on the scoreboard for the rest of the game. Obviously, just like hanging out with the boys, stuff like that. That's always fun. I think that'll just always be my favorite. But if we're talking like activities, I mean, I mentioned it before, but just kind of like mechanics and like I love welding. It's always been my passion. I love it. Those are two just like really big ones for me. I'll just sit there and work on engines forever, and just it's like my favorite thing. Like that's for sure a stereotype for goalies being a little weird. I mean, I won't call it a bad stereotype. It's kind of true. But I think it definitely like comes across in our game sense. Like we see the entire ice all the time, all game, like constantly, and it's just some people see it as weird. I think we'll see it as intelligence. Obviously, we talked about like winning provincials. That was like kind of a big one because it was after the fact that I learned that there was like a bunch of scouts at like that whole provincials, not just the gold medal game, just in general. And that kind of like it wasn't a big turning point for me, but it was definitely like holy crap, like that's like there's people looking at maybe not even specifically me, but just in general they're there, they're watching all that. That's definitely one of them. And I'd say, well, obviously like signing to a new team that like in a different league outside of Powell River, that's definitely like that was a big one for me. I kind of like was like holy crap, like I can like definitely go play other places. I think a big one for me is just like my flexibility. I mean, I've always kind of struggled with that in some aspect of my game, and with that I've also kind of developed like a bit of a like I kind of play as a non-flexible goalie, which you can see in my game. Like my butterfly's not very wide. Um, you don't see very many like huge diving pad saves. They're mostly with my hands. That's definitely like a big one for me, is just working on my flexibility. Um, I know a big part of it, as I used to think that like I'd see NHL goalies doing the splits and stuff like that, and I remember when I was younger, I was like, oh, I don't feel like I really need to do that to be a good goalie, and I don't really need to like focus on that to be a good goalie. but I think it's kind of like it's a really underrated skill. It's like you need to be able to like extend to the fullest and then also be strong when you're extended. Like, yeah, definitely. It's a big change from last year too. Like I was definitely the underdog last year, which I mean was neither here nor there, just kind of fact of the matter. And definitely a big change like coming into this team and kind of becoming a bit of a leader and like stepping up to that role a bit. So um I'd say focus on yourself more than anything. I think it's important to just really not focus on what other people on your team are doing and try not to compare yourself to other people. Um, it doesn't seem like a big thing in the short term. Say like you're at practice and you're like, oh, my other goalie does this really well, or my other goalie is doing this, or the players are just whatever. I think in the short term, that practice, at the end of that practice, you're going to forget about it and you're not going to notice. But what I've really found is in the long run, it becomes a habit, and you become every practice you're like, oh, this goalie does this, I need to do this like perfectly, and you get almost an obsession with what other people are doing and how you can basically just mimic that. And I think long term, it's bad for your mental, and it's really hard to keep trying to compete with other people that aren't the same. No, I mean specifically goalies, but I'm sure it goes the same for players too. Is no two goalies are ever going to be the same in their playing style, and that's just the way it's going to be. And whether you have a strong glove and your other goalie has a strong blocker, and you need to work on that, you guys are never going to be the same, and it's much easier for your game if you just accept that.